I'm going to begin the recording. So we are recording live as we get started here. My name is Keisha, and I am going to be our host for tonight, and I have a couple co-hosts, and I'll share that with you. There's faces, so you can see. You don't have to do video. We're sharing screens, so we're not doing video. But I am the volunteer communication lead for the South region, and I live in Arkansas. And then I also serve in a role with that of coordinating the social media training for our relay volunteers. So that's kind of why you see my name with lots of different things. But then I'm going to let my co-hosts introduce themselves as you see them listed there on the slide. Tell a little bit about.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. This is Carol Roeder, and I am a staff person, Director of Marketing in the South region. And I've been with the American Cancer Society for about 20 years. And my just fun fact is I was diagnosed with breast cancer 6 months after starting here. So I feel like I was put in the right place at the right time for the right reason, and that's what's kept me here. So welcome, everyone. Glad you could join us tonight.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Carla Darez. I'm from Florida, and I'm the social media co-chair for my local East Pasco Relay event. And I've been involved with Relay for about 3 years now, and I'm in high school. So, yeah, it's about me.
That's awesome. It's fun. Carla and I kind of met through these trainings, and I'm excited for her to jump in with Carol and I and help train you guys in some areas that she has experience and expertise in tonight. And so just a couple housekeeping things real quick. We are recording, if you didn't hear that. And I will tell you, if you want a link to the recording, all of this information gets posted online, but if you'd like a link directly when it gets posted live with all of the follow-up handouts. If you want to put your email address in the chat, or you can message me directly, Keisha McKinney, and I'll get your email address from that, and I'll send a follow-up email. And again, it will be posted in the Facebook group and online on Relay Connect. You are on mute. Everybody's on mute as you came in. If you have a question, you can unmute yourself, or we are going to actively be watching the chat box. So feel free to share a message there if you have questions for us, and we'll address them as we can, or we may know a slide's coming up, but we definitely want this to be interactive. And I know that's a little hard sometimes when there's lots of information shared. But definitely share in chat. And then just as we get started tonight, I just wanted to put this in front of you. You know, when we get in this role, really any volunteer role, but this role feels like it's just a lot because it's social media and it's off, you know, it's going on all the time. I just want to challenge you to keep your why in front of you. For me, these are kind of what's pushing me right now. My mother-in-law is in that picture on the left, and that's her family. And only one of the women in that picture had been diagnosed with cancer. And I want to keep fighting for that. The middle picture, the lady in the Tyson top, we just lost her this past week. And those two ladies fight hard in our local relay and lead our team. And then the group on the right is my family and my boys. And that little guy is who I fight for most, so that he, you know, lives in a world without cancer. But what is your why? And I want you to just really keep that in front of you as we go through tonight. But I would challenge you often, just keep that in front of yourself. Are you, you know, just in this position because it was an empty position on your relay team? Do you love social media? Do you love your community? And you just wanted to make sure they connected and got the information about relay and what's going on. So keep your why in front of you this year. And as we go through, and I really strongly believe that social media is a way that we can attack cancer from every angle. And I think informing your community makes you guys warriors and fighters against this disease. And so what you do is really, really important. And I just don't want you to forget that. So we'll jump in really quickly to tonight's content. And we titled this 5 Best Practices and some bonus information. So you know how that goes. We'll cover some big things and then some other little questions that have come up to get us prepared for tonight. But Online tools is where we'll go first. And, you know, this role that you have is something that your community needs. Whether you're collaborating, like Carla gets to with her event, with a team of people, or multiple people are having to make it happen to get it done, or you have one person in a chair role that fulfills all of these things for your community. So online tools. First thing is make sure your Relay website is up to date. And so I know a lot of this is focused with social media, but we are talking to online chairs. And just the personalization, make sure you've gone in and updated that. We did a training earlier in the spring that you can get some tips, walks you through how to do that. But when people Google your event, when people try to find what's going on, that is the place they get sent. And if it's not correct, or the location has changed from last year and those things are not personalized, it can hurt your attendance, and it just hurts the details as even your other media in town is trying to build the story and tell the bigger story. So make sure that's up to date. Similarly, make sure your local event Facebook page and other social media accounts like Instagram or Twitter, if you have those, make sure those reflect that same information. As I say that, you should be functioning as a Facebook page versus a group. And a lot of times a local ELT will have a group that they talk through, and I think that's great. That's a really great communication tool internally. But as an event, you should be functioning as a Facebook page. And the name should be set up Relay for Life of whatever. For us, it's McCurtain County, or whatever the title of that event is. But that's the format you want to have that set up. Also, excuse me, you want to make sure that there is more than one person that is set up as the administrator of your page. For sure, I would say that's your staff partner, probably your event lead. For us in the South region, we ask our folks to follow an account, or to make an administrator an account called SO Region. What that does is when we have turnover in our positions or in our events, it helps us not lose control of that page, and still have access to be able to put a new person in an administrator role. But it also just helps you with backup. If something happens, with Carol, I am an 11-year cancer survivor, but I was diagnosed in the middle of relay season. I wasn't an online chair, but I was a team captain, and so somebody else in the middle of relay season had to assume my role and the duties tied to that. And so you just want to make sure that if needed, someone else can do the things that you need to do, but also in that turnover situation. Another thing with online tools is, if you have multiple people on your team who are contributing to this, you want to be coordinating who is posting when. And we're going to talk more about this kind of towards the end and some of the things to avoid. But it's awesome to have a partner, especially if it's more than one person on your committee. But you want to just know who is talking, who is posting, who is scheduling when. One, so you don't look silly to the public, but two, so you don't spend a lot of effort doing things that you both are doing. The other thing is with scheduling, with these online tools, what we have, schedule what you can as much as you can. With Facebook, you want to use the Facebook scheduler. There's something about the way that the algorithm reads that was created native to that program versus something like Hootsuite or Buffer that you can schedule outside of it. But I do want to show you real quick. We did this on a training previously, and it's called You Asked, We Answer. So you may want to get more of that. But just to show you real quick, if you don't schedule often, I have something on a personal page that I need to schedule for this week. And so this is my Facebook page, and I want to, I'm going to schedule a post. It's National Travel and Tourism Week. And so I've already typed the caption in here. I want to add a link to it. So I'm just going to copy this in one window, come back over here, and paste it. And it's going to pick up the preview, maybe. All right. Then I'm going to come down here to this little schedule. It's a little clock. And I'm going to pick the date, which is tomorrow. And I'm going to do it at like 1:30. And then I'm just going to click schedule. And rotating button here shows me that it is working on making it happen. I take an extra minute since we're doing a live demo. But as it spins, what it's going to do is would come back up here at the top of this and show me that I have it scheduled. So you may find that coming, sitting down on a Saturday with a cup of coffee at a local coffee shop, or you know, on a weeknight or something, when you have time that can be concentrated, and you can just sit there with your calendar and get all those scheduled. So just make that easier for yourself and doing what you can. A couple tools that we have found just with research with different people is for scheduling, the Facebook scheduler. Hootsuite is a program you can interact with Instagram and Twitter. Buffer is also able to do that, and then Sprout Social. These are some of the programs that people who do this professionally, or like even the American Cancer Society, their staff team will use this to schedule out things for month. Design tools that might make it easier for you is Canva, PicMonkey, Photoshop, or this piece that's part of the Adobe cloud of, it's called Adobe Spark, I believe is the free one. And then video tools, which are super important. Videos become really a big deal with social, is Animoto, TikTok, Movie Maker, Final Cut, and Movani. And then if you see these and you go, oh my goodness, I don't know anything about it, let me challenge you. Every one of these, I've looked into many of them myself. They have a help or a blog tied to them that is a tutorial. And don't be overwhelmed. Some of it's on YouTube. Some of it is there built in native. Just jump on and read through some of that. We may in the future do some training, but frankly, they have really great training already built. And so we're just not doubling up those efforts. But use the help that they have, and just get in there and play a little bit and learn for yourself. And when we use the word easier, as you hear tonight, you might hear us say that a couple times. When we use that word easier, our point is to keep you from working on this all the time. With social media, it's there 24/7, but we know that you're a volunteer, and we just don't want you working 24/7 on it. So our challenge to you is to set aside a time, like once a month or once a week, if that's what you need, to put your post in. And then the rest of the time you can just respond and look at comments and begin planning for new content, which is something that I know we're always trying to dig and research, and we struggle with that. So Carol's going to share a little bit about content and planning and doing those things.
Hey, thanks, Keisha. And you know, I might or might not be a type A person when it comes to being organized, but I do find myself relying on a calendar and list to keep all the balls in the air. So thanks for showing how to pre-schedule on Facebook, because that's just a lifesaver. It really does take, it makes it easier for me. In terms of social media, our gift for you today are ideas to help you stay organized and make it easy on yourself. So use whatever tool works best for you, a calendar, a spreadsheet, or a list, but I encourage you to make some type of plan that gives you peace of mind, yet is also flexible enough to make changes. And like Keisha said, it's not your full-time job, and we don't want you to burn out, and you could. You know, social media is alive 24/7. It never goes away. So you have to determine what you can do to make it, you know, work for you and not against you. Maybe you find 30 minutes every Monday night. You find something that you find a time that best fits your schedule that you can carve out. And it could be monthly and it could be weekly, but when you sit down and you take a look at this, and there are some other tips that are going to come out during the course of the night, where you can do this in real time and make a real smooth transition so that keeps you organized and keeps you sane. The other thing is that you don't have to do it all yourself, and you don't have to be everywhere. Let other people know what's coming down the pike so that they can capture content for you, put a reminder in your calendar and send a text to them to ask them to get you pictures. We do this all the time. You cast a net and say, I'm looking for this, or this is happening, can you follow up on that? And generally people are really willing to help. All they need to be is asked. Here's an example. Paint the Town Purple Week. You don't have to drive all over town to every business to get a picture. Text team captains to send you the picture and give them a deadline for when you're going to post. And then they come into you and you can organize them. Or maybe you have a New Hope letter going out for your event for survivors to sign. Find out in the ELT meeting what the logistics are, and work out with them and set up a reminder in your calendar to text them to send you pictures so you can post the behind the scenes shot without having to show up at the building event. Create a team of social spies that you can rely on. I love that. People who are out there looking for things for you, all you have to do is give them a tip and they're all over it. And then the other thing is listen in meetings with a calendar in mind. What could you put out as event reminders? Who could you feature? What's happening in your community and where does it need to go on a calendar? When you leave a meeting, much of the content you need to post over the next month should be there. Meeting reminders, upcoming fundraisers, challenges, recognize new sponsors, mention new teams who have registered. And we're going to talk about this later when we talk about looking for content. In any case, just be thinking about who can provide detail for me. Is there a story here? So when you start filling in some of those things on your calendar, you'll see it leaves you with gaps to share from the national accounts like the ACS master page or the National Relay for Life account. Or here's an idea, share user-generated content when you have gaps. That's content that's generated by people in your community on their pages, and all you have to do is go in there and share it. Share it to your event page. I put this May calendar on the slide because it already has hints for content for you. Mother's Day and Memorial Day are right there on that calendar. You've already got 2 done. So make it easy for you. Keisha's got some more content ideas. How about if you share some of those with us?
Yeah, and you just gave me an idea I didn't even have in my notes. That's a great thought, is to prepare as we kind of transition. Look for those kind of national events or things that are already calendared by other groups and just jump in. I saw on the last screen there we had Nurses Day. I mean, hello, with the content we do, there's teams or whatever that are connected to us. So that's a really great idea to jump in on things that fit us. Just, and sometimes you see National Hot Dog Day or whatever, and so maybe you have a fun event fundraiser that you want to feature or something like that. But I love that calendar that you put in the mix there. But one of the questions we get asked a lot is just, where do I find content? People struggle, and it's real. There's 30, 31 days in a month, and you're trying to figure out, what do I do to fill all of this? Well, first of all, you don't have to have something every day of the week and every day of the month. I think when you're going really active on Facebook, 3 times a week is good. I think same thing with Instagram, 2 to 3 times a week. Obviously, when you're getting into relay season, some of that may happen more often, but this isn't, something you need to feel the pressure to put something out 28, 30, 31 days of a month to fill that. But here are some ideas, and I will say right here that we have prepared a handout. This slide is one of those specific things where all the links to all these things, Carol's going to share a few in chat, but as we go through, but all the links to this will be shared in a handout. So if you've joined us and want that, just shoot your email address in the text, or you can send it to me privately, Keisha McKinney, and I'll send you the follow-up deck with all the things, and then this will be posted on Relay Connect. But couple things specific on Relay to Connect to look for is the social media playbook. It is like the coolest thing with so many resources. I have it downloaded, I keep it, I go to it all the time myself, but it just has some great tips and just understanding. But one of the things that comes with it is it's kind of a kit, is a tool that's called Evergreen Content, and it just has actual graphics, actual photos, actual written out captions for you that you can post any time of the year. There's another document that comes with it called 45 Days to Relay. And again, it's specific tips and things that you can do that's already written out for you. Each month has a focus, whether it's the actual cancer we're focusing on that month, or like this month, we're focusing overall as an organization on skin cancer prevention and the things you can do with that, as well as a Mother's Day challenge, looking at where does the ACS money go. So all of those things are put out as monthly focuses and toolkits that are on Relay Connect and on Brand Toolkit. So make sure you're looking at those places and downloading that information. With Relay Brand Toolkit, I just mentioned that if you've not visited it, it is created and filled. The information on it comes from the marketing and design department of the American Cancer Society. So it's where you want to go to download the official graphics of the logos of the organization, but also templates for all kinds of things that we do, as well as, like I said, just if we're focusing on skin cancer prevention, well, they have pictures and graphics there that you can download, that as well as event pictures and things that are branded. Just even like the template for the slide deck that we're using and the pictures, that's all come from Brand Toolkit. So literally it has all the things. Relay Communicator, you should, as an ELT member, be receiving this each month. It's automatically sent to you, but if you don't get it or you lost it or whatever, it is stored each month on Relay Connect, and again, that link will be part of the document. One of the new things that I really love personally is Society Source, and you can go to mysocietysource.org and sign up for their weekly email. And so on Friday mornings, I get an email with kind of, 6 or so article links from the news that has happened that week from the American Cancer Society. Well, again, those are great things to fill in those gaps when people wonder what's going on with this organization. I give you my money, what happens with it? And so it just gives you some really great stories, again, that are already written and just intriguing for people as they're following you, and might pull in some of your followers just a little bit deeper. Carol mentioned earlier, but our national accounts, American Cancer Society and Relay for Life, are on Facebook. They're on all of the platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All of them have things they're sharing consistently, and that's what they want. They share it with the intent that they're focusing on the big picture story of why people relay, of the monthly mission focus, all that kind of stuff. And then they know you're using your accounts to mix that in with the story of what's happening at your local Relay for Life event. So they want you to share that, and they're intentionally setting that up to put things out in front of you that you could easily share and would make your account and your content stronger. Cancer.org, of course, is the website of the American Cancer Society, and will include lots of links in that follow-up document of facts and brand stories, research programs, healthy living, Cancer Statistics Center. All of that stuff will be in this follow-up document that we send, but all of that's out there, and those are just links that you copy and paste and put a caption with it. And especially when it's not relay season or it's off time and you're wondering, what do people want to know? They want to know what's going on with this organization that they're investing in and that they support. Another place is YouTube videos. I will challenge you to, if you find a video and you like the first part of it, and you're like, great. If it is not something put out by, again, the national accounts, I would make sure you watch it all the way through. People are great about posting videos that they create for their local event and putting it online, but you may just want to make sure you know what you're going to post on your account. But the videos, the national accounts, the commercials we see throughout the year, all of that is posted on the national accounts and their YouTube channels. I can't use my words. And This is some information we've shared in previous training, but just to let you see the national account names. Twitter and Instagram, it's a little bit different. On Instagram, it does use the word society. And then also our national hashtags that we use are Why I Relay and then Relay for Life. And we'll talk a little bit, Carla's going to share with us about hashtags and how all that works. But just so you can kind of see what's out there. And again, this is part of the best practices document that was created earlier this year. And it's just super helpful for you and your role. And that is on Brand Toolkit. Carol, give us some creativity. Bring it to us.
Well, creativity. Well, I'm going to go back to that May calendar that I showed you. If you carried something like that with you, or even it can be on your phone. I mean, you can collect information any place, but you'll be able to jot down content ideas in real time. When you're at meetings, fundraisers, or chatting with your ELT, the conversations are filled with content tips. Announce a schedule, highlight a new team, thank a sponsor, tell a success story. And speaking of stories, storytelling is compelling and survivor stories top of the list. Generally, they are filled with inspiration, so when you tell a survivor story, share the why. When people hear the why, they tend to give more, and that giving could be in the form of time or money. So coordinate with your survivor chair on how to capture these. When I think of survivor stories, I instantly think of our voices of hope. They all have a story, and they're always willing to share. Sponsor highlights are also, or sponsor spotlights, that's a great idea. Why is it important to your main sponsors that they be part of Relay? What does it mean to them? Ask them to invite, encourage, or challenge other businesses in the community to become a sponsor as well. And remember to be respectful of your sponsor's logo. Always try to get an original one in a JPEG or a PNG file so it's accurate and polished. Sadly, I have a horror story about pulling what I thought was an accurate sponsor logo off the internet. And I promise you, I will not make that mistake a second time. It is not a good way to build a relationship. Back to sponsor spotlights. Again, you don't have to do this all. Feel free to delegate. Find people who want to share what they do best with you. Maybe a class at your high school will capture or provide a story as a project. It could be a STEM class or a creative writing course, but invite them to your world and delegate. But as with all content, mix it up. Sometimes it's videos and sometimes it's pictures. Sometimes it's words and sometimes it's links. As social trends go today, video will get your post the attention it truly deserves. Off-season content ideas. So it's important that you keep sharing stories and keep your followers engaged. I've had this conversation in the last couple of days with a few people, and I've said, you wouldn't abandon your friends for a year and then the week before your birthday, give them your birthday gift wish list. But that's sort of like if you leave your relay followers out in the cold after relay season and then try to re-engage them a couple months before your event. We have to nurture these relationships. So here's some off-season content ideas. Use the Relay Communicator Monthly, Society Source weekly emails, and Keisha mentioned that before. That's really an awesome tool. You want to sign up for that. Draw from the press room on cancer.org. Or you can go to cancer.org cancer stats and do something that's specific to your state. Do a monthly feature on mission topics. Like this month, it could be something about skin cancer. Use your off time or off season to share the mission and why people should stay engaged year round. And maybe even a little Did You Know series. Off season is where you might feature your smaller sponsor stories. And oh, here's a big one. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, happy New Year. We unfortunately sometimes forget to wish our friends out there in the relay universe a Happy New Year. And it's so simple and it's so easy. And finally, influencers. When you post, who always likes your message? Who always makes a comment or shares it? Those people are online influencers, and they are just waiting for you to ask them to lend their voice to amplify your messages. Help them help you. Give them tools like a one-pager and invite them to things. Give them some swag. Dub them your personal local ambassador. And hey, if you found this training to be interesting, let me do a quick public service announcement for the Social Media Best Practices 2019 and Creating the Social Connection 2018 trainings. If you weren't available to participate, go back and review them. And Keisha will be sure to include them with the details in the follow-up to this webinar. Do you have anything else you want to share with them?
No, I'll get you to post the links to that, and like she said, they'll be in the follow-up, but yeah, just share that with others. I don't know, I just wrote some notes. I learned some new things that you shared, so I get excited when that happens.
I did too. I think it's a great job. Okay, I'll post those so everyone can see them.
Okay, cool. So the next big thing in our tip area is understanding algorithms and boosting. And I'll just say we probably should just take a second and just take a big deep breath. Those are both words that we all kind of are like wanting to hear about, but yet they kind of overwhelm us. So I'm going to share some things kind of big picture, and then Carla, who's really an expert in some Instagram things, is going to share and give us a little bit better understanding specifically in that area. So the best way I've learned recently is an analogy with algorithm. And Facebook does own Instagram, so some of this applies there as well, but it's kind of a different platform. And then frankly, Twitter, it's just get out there a lot. So honestly, our average relayer is not on Twitter. If you find that that's your community or a specific group you're trying to communicate with, frankly, they say you're supposed to communicate 9 to 12 times a day, which is just a lot for us and what we do. But again, this analogy will kind of apply to that platform as well. But before we get to that, I just want to challenge you, let's not get too frustrated. This word algorithm comes out and we get a little like excited because it doesn't work the way we want to. And we just need to remember these are free platforms. Being a part of these social media platforms is free for us. And they let us essentially do marketing there for free. So we just kind of have to learn how to play this game. And it's a pay to play thing. So if you do pay or boost, you're going to get a little more action and interaction with your content. But there are some things, if you understand it, and that's what we're going to try to teach the rest of this, that will make your content show up organically if you don't have the funds to kind of throw some dollars at making that happen. And so, again, the Batman analogy will be part of my email follow-up, but it's the best thing I've ever kind of learned to understand relationships and the algorithm, and that is this. So Batman and Robin are besties. They're best friends. They do everything together. And probably when they post on Facebook, they're either at the same place, they're involved in what's going on, or they do care about the content each other puts out. And so they always see what each other posts. They interact with it, they like it, they comment on it. So it's going to always show up in their feed and always be in front of them. But another person in their circle of influence is this guy named Joker. Now, Batman doesn't ever interact with Joker in real life, so therefore he's not doing it on social media either. He has Robin to take care of that. So Robin sees most of what Joker puts out there because he's on his radar. He looks at his content. He may not interact with it. He may not like it or comment, but he sees it because he wants to have what Joker's doing on his mind. But Batman's never going to see that because he just doesn't deal with him. And so where I would take that for you is the same thing happens in real life. So the things that we interact with and engage with are the things we're going to see most often. And last January, Facebook made that promise to us. They said, we're going to put the things in front of you that you want to see. And if it's not happened already, mobile version is having a new look, and online version in the next month will probably have the same new look. It's cleaner. It's going to look different. So you've had your warning, but they're focusing on groups and community, which is what their platform was originally created to do. And so I say all that to say, if you're not seeing something that they are doing, then that someone is doing, or someone's saying, I'm not seeing the things that you're doing, they need to interact with your content more, because what that does is tell Facebook and the algorithm that runs it that you like that person and you like the content they put out. The other thing that puts things in front of people is just the popularity of a post in general. So if a lot of people that you follow are interacting with a post, it's more likely to show up in your feed. If people are tagged in a post and multiple people that you follow are tagged in a post, it's more likely to show up in your feed because several people that you follow are connected to the same thing. So just know that that's kind of how it works. That's why you hear us challenge you to tag people, to tag your sponsors, to do those things, because again, it plays into this popularity contest that is just making things happen. One thing that Facebook is doing is giving you more control and letting you see what you want to see. So one thing, again, I'm going to come out of this real quick and go to Facebook, and that post is still trying to schedule. So we're just going to come away from that for a minute. And I'll deal with that later. But I wanted to show you this process of turning on notifications. And this is a post you might do on your page, or definitely ask for time at an ELT meeting and your team captain meeting. But you can control your notifications. And so, like, I like the page Nationwide Relay Online Network. I like it, so I'm already doing that. I also follow it. But I can go down here under this little arrow, and you can see here I can control how and when and where I see the information from this page. So I want to follow this information. I want to see it. So it is set on that I get a notification when they post. I can turn that off. I don't have that on for every page that I'm connected to. I follow a lot of pages from friends, programs, and stuff. Right now, this is set to default, but I could change it to see first. If and I think that's a recommendation I would do for like your ELT members, to have them change that. But this is one of the things that Facebook has done to give us more control. And so again, if you're on a page, or you're on your page that you admin, or just a different page, right here under the big cover photo are these 4 little boxes. And whether you like it or not, or whether you follow it or not, you can click on this little arrow next to following, and you can control how the notifications come for this account, and whether you get them up here in notifications or whether you just see it more often in your feed. So that is definitely something I would challenge you to get people in your community do. They're just going to show you more of what you want to consume. So if you personally, I for a while didn't see everything that the American Cancer Society was posting in my feed, and I wanted to, because I wanted to be able to share it on my accounts. So I just went for like a month to their account as I remembered, not necessarily daily at 10 o'clock, but as I remembered, and I just interacted with the content there. I liked it, or I commented if it made sense to, and then that information started showing up in my news feed, and now I don't have to go dig for it the same way I did. So I would challenge you, if people are telling you, well, I just never see what you guys post, then those two tips would really be something you can do, is have them change their notifications and encourage them, hey, well, how about for 2 or 3 weeks, you just daily go check on what we're posting. And I know that process specifically, the notification isn't the same, but the interaction with the post is the same for Instagram. Because really it's just a popularity contest, how people interact with you, how friends of followers interact with you. But you will want to pay attention to your analytics, and there's a timing issue. Like if you can see in analytics when your people are most active, Well, you want your posts to either show up then or just before that, so that when they get on, so if your folks are active at 7:30 at night because they're sitting in front of the TV with their phone out watching Dancing with the Stars or whatever, then that's when you want to make sure your important things post to them. Or if they're busy and looking at the computer and their phone during the day or in carpool or whatever, you want to have your content in front of them when it's there, and that's what's going to increase your engagement. And then basically, great content increases engagement. So if you're putting out the things your people like, if you do videos or you do the stories of survivors or you do your sponsor spotlights, and one of those gets more interaction than another, do more of that. So I'm going to let Carla share some specifics about Instagram.
Thanks, Keisha. Now we're going to talk a bit about the Instagram algorithm. The picture to the left is an example of what is widely known as the feed. This is the first section you see when you open up Instagram, and it's where you see everyone's posts. What shows up first in the feed is primarily based on each user's activity. The engagement you get on your posts, like likes, comments, shares, views, etc., puts you higher in other people's feeds. So what does this mean, and how can this be used to your advantage? The feed is an important part in getting your followers to track your events and fundraisers. So you want people to be able to see your posts and interact with them. If you want to gain insight on when your followers are on the app, you can look at your account's analytics and find the times that the majority of the followers are online. However, this can only be done if your account is a business profile and you have over 100 followers. So another way to find out when to post is by understanding the algorithm. And it gives you insight on the best time to post and receive the best engagement. This time would be around peak times, like weekdays around 2 p.m. Now we're going to talk a bit about the Explore page, which is in the picture shown on the right. The feed and the Explore pages look similar but have different purposes. The Explore page is where popular posts show up from people you aren't following. It's like a trending page for Instagram. The posts you see on this tab are basically what Instagram thinks you would like. So the algorithm is basically based off of popularity and interest of the user. So to get on the Explore page, you have to post the right things and find ways to increase your engagement and followers and have a public account. Another useful way to use this Explore feed is to find other Relay for Life accounts to follow and get inspiration from. It's important to engage with other Relay events to communicate ideas that you can incorporate into your personal event. Hashtags are an important part of getting people's attention and getting them to engage with your pages. A hashtag is a search topic that makes you discoverable and is always first typed out with a pound symbol in front. Hashtags work the same way on different platforms as far as being a searchable topic, but the way hashtags are used is different on each platform. What we are teaching you applies to Instagram, but Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest all use hashtags differently. Some official hashtags that you should use are hashtag #WhyIRelay and hashtag Relay for Life. But you should combine your regular hashtags with tags about your locations, trending topics, and fun phrases. In the example, you see hashtags that @Tokama Relay used. It was National High Five Day, so they used that hashtag plus some others that they use consistently for their event, and some that the cancer community uses. This no doubt earned them a few extra followers, whether or not they were local. Another way to find popular hashtags is to look at your local chamber or visitors bureau or city accounts and see if they have hashtags that they consistently use. If there are any regional hashtags that they consistently use them. Jumping in and using some of these from time to time will help you grow your followers and get discovered. But if you use all the hashtags all the time with every post, Instagram will take notice and mark you as spam. So be careful about that, so mix it up to avoid this problem. Try developing a hashtag for your local event that you can use year over year and other people can use to tag you in their posts. Also try to keep it short and simple so you don't take too many characters. But do your research first and try to make sure that the hashtag is not already being used for something else. One way to make sure is Googling your hashtag or just putting in the search in the platforms you're using to see what search results you find. One example of an event hashtag that I use is hashtag RFL East Pasco, which stands for Relay for Life East Pasco. It's a great way to create a place where you can find pictures of people who attended your event so you can post and share them on your Relay account. Does anyone have any questions or need clarification on anything I just covered?
That's awesome. And you guys, if you have questions, you can post them in chat, or you can unmute yourself and let us know. That's some good information there, Carla. Thank you.
If there aren't any questions, I'll continue. So now we're going to talk about boosting your posts. Boosting is simply put is sponsoring your posts to reach a bigger audience. A boosted post appears in the timeline of users that are likely interested in your content but don't currently follow you. These posts can include a call to action button, which relocates them to a website or profile. This link can be an event, website, or your social media profile, which would bring more interest to your event. One of the best ways to advertise your event to your community through social media is through a boosted post. An idea is to try working with your sponsorship chair to recruit a social sponsor, connection sponsor, or tech sponsor, and use those funds as your promotion budget. You can decide at the local level the amount and sponsor benefits based on what other sponsorship opportunities are. So now I'm going to talk about ways to make a call to action on your posts. Try to always include a call to action. Don't make them guess on where to go or how to get to where you're asking them to do. So include a link. For example, if you need volunteers for your events, try making an online sign up and insert that link in the caption. It's important to also make sure that you get the important details in the caption first if it's a long caption, so you get the audience's attention and they read the entirety of it. Another example of a call to action is to post a flyer about your upcoming meetings and fundraisers and include details in the caption like the location and time. To increase engagement on your post, use action words. So try saying something like tell a survivor or share this post, or even put a question in the caption like why do you relay, and ask them to comment their answers down below. Now I'm going to hand it off to Keisha.
All right, I love that about the questions and getting people to interact with the content to get them going. So I promised we had 5 ideas and then some bonus thoughts. So this is your bonus section, and this is definitely one of those sections where you get a little creative. So if you guys have tried anything with some of this, we put the question in the chat, has anybody done anything with boosting and had any experiences? So as we share some of this, if you guys have tried any of that, give us some feedback in chat and let us know some of your experience, or if you have questions as we get into it. We want to interact with that as well there. So some bonus ideas, things for you guys. One is just know what you can do. You personally, like your skill set, but also what you can tackle with everything else you have going on. So just don't take on too much that you can't keep up with that, and just handle what you can. I did see a question come in, so I'm going to go ahead and address it real quick, and then we'll keep going. Does it cost to boost anything to boost a post? I'm going to go back a couple slides so you can see that. It does. Actually, boosting is the way that Facebook makes money. So that's one of the reasons Carla mentioned working with your local ELT to find out, is that something that you can put in a budget? Frankly, boosting and Facebook or even Instagram, what's nice is because they're connected. If you have accounts in both places and you've done the business account thing she mentioned, it works in both spots. It boosts automatically in both. But it essentially takes a post you've created, and when you add a little money to it, it makes it do what Carla said, which is you can pick all kinds of qualities about people, where they live, what their interests are, what they talk about, where they've recently been. If you're really good, their recent purchases or the recent internet searches. But it then puts that in front of them. So the screenshot here, this is actually off my screenshot over the weekend, probably because I do volunteer work. And I've recently talked about thanking donors when we had National Volunteer Week. This showed up in my feed, and you can see that right under the name of the Network for Good, it says sponsored. So that lets me know that this was boosted. It was put in my feed. So I don't know these folks. I don't follow them. I've actually never heard of them. And so that's exactly what it does, is it puts it in your feed to people that don't follow you, and helps pick that up. So for you at a local event, boosting, especially like your event itself, when you go in and create an event for your actual event, or if you have a special something leading up to it, like a survivor dinner or something like that, you could boost that event, or you could boost a caption about it and signing up for volunteers. And then when you get through the process of setting up those ads or boosted posts, you can pick qualities and characteristics about that person as a user that would then make this put in front of them. But you can do anything from $2 a day to $5 a week to a monthly, your time period. If you picked a couple time period, you could say, well, this is the max I want to spend for this whole campaign, which is what they call it if you pick a week or however many days. And that's where I would just say, work with your local ELT and see if there's a budget. Because frankly, the way that this kind of works, and this is just us being transparent, the way Facebook works is you as a person run a page. And so if you boosted that as an admin, you would have to have a credit card tied to your account that would pay that. And then what you would do is turn that in for a personal expense reimbursement, just like if you had gone out and bought all the decorations or paid for the meal at Survivor dinner or bought all the plywood to make your big hope letters that the survivors are going to sign. You would just turn that back in as a reimbursement, but you need to make sure that they have that. One creative way to do it is to work with your sponsorship chair and recruit a social media sponsor. Kind of figure out with them, hey, I'd like to have $100 a year or more, $500, whatever you're going to do, and or add it into something that another sponsorship level includes. And then either you go out and recruit that or have it on the list of sponsorship opportunities that are offered for the year. And then that would give you essentially a budget to work with. So if you recruited, you would set up with your local event what the benefits of that sponsorship would look like based on everything else you offer. But it would let you have a little bit of a budget to work with, because then you can put that information in front of people. So Winona, it's good to know that Network for Good is somebody good to follow. Again, it just showed up and I like what they did, and I figured based on what they're doing. So it looks like they're doing some things right, and maybe we can get some ideas from them. So Hiram, I hope that helped. If it didn't, then you can come off and mute and clarify, or you can ask some more questions. But boosting does cost money, and that's kind of how it works is you would get the reimbursement because you would pay for it through that. So it's definitely a little bit technical, but it's worth it. I've personally done it for some different things I do, and it does help with exposure, and you can select the action if you're sending them to a website or sending them to a shop to buy, or whatever the action is that you're trying to get them to do there. So coming back to our bonus ideas, so know what you can do and what you can tackle. Don't take on too much. If you can't handle posting fundraising Friday ideas every single week, then post them once a month if that's something new you want to take on. Just figure out what you can manage, especially as you try to get creative and add new things to do. Another thing is consistency is key. So consistently posting the days and times, making sure that things look the same. That's one thing. If we're all visual, so as we scroll through our feed, we kind of begin to know, oh, those images with people in purple t-shirts, that's a relay thing, so I'm going to stop. But similarly, as you post a graphic for your fundraisers, or as you post graphics for your survivor stories, consistency and what those look like are key. And that's where tools like Canva and PicMonkey come into place, because you can use the same template and recreate it within the same program and just update the names or update the picture in it, and they would begin to know, oh, this is a fundraising idea, or oh, this is what our fundraisers always look like for our local relay. There's just something that clicks in our brain when we see those consistent images. Look at what's working in your analytics and just keep doing more of that. Try and fail. That's how we grow. And by fail, I mean like, okay, well, that time didn't work, or our people aren't responding to videos like we thought, or the graphics, I need to do videos instead of graphics, whatever that looks like. But try something. Don't be scared to try it. And if you mess up, like, okay, cool. figure something else out. It's not the end of the world. Make it human. We know that stories are what connect with people, but as much as we have a mission and as much as we have like all these things we want to do, make it human. Show the behind the scenes if you're trying stories or that kind of thing, but put a face and a local story to everything that you're doing every chance that you get. And then know your audience, your customers, if you will. What would make you want to interact with something is probably the same thing. Probably your audience is similar to you. You might have, different age groups and times that they're online, but just think about those, keep those practices in mind when you're posting. What time are they on? What days are they on? What message do they want to hear? You may have a great message that's planned out, and some tragedy happened locally, and you know that this page, even if you've got it planned out, you need to pull that down or push it back, because your community is mourning something that happened, or it's graduation and no one's paying attention to anything you have to say. That's not the day to put out a really cool idea or a big invitation to something you have coming up. So even as we talk about looking for gaps, look for those within your general community. All right. Before I go on, I mentioned this earlier about the sponsor benefit. In addition to maybe a social media sponsor, you could even add to a sponsor benefit, and maybe this is the way you're able to get some more money, is, for a certain dollar amount or certain level, they're listed as a co-host of your event online. And their name shows up each time you do your big going live post or something like that. It's just another way to bring something creative. Brands, and by the brands I mean sponsors and businesses and those who support us, they want creative exposure, and so you are one of those opportunities to give them that. And so I would just challenge you to just get creative for expanding the interaction with your event. One specific question we've gotten several times, and I wanted to address it tonight, is related to Facebook Live. And I wanted to just challenge you, like, this is definitely one of those places that I would say try and fail. Like, or try and soar. Maybe I shouldn't say try and fail. Try and soar. Like, try and then teach us what you just did. That was awesome. But try it. Don't get scared. A lot of us, we don't love to see our faces on video. We don't love to hear our voices. But you know what? Our community loves video. And so to do that, we have to do that. But we have been hearing from some folks that their video or their live sometimes, once it's posted and once you go live, that's a video that lives there in perpetuity, if you will, forever on your page, which is kind of nice because people who can't make whatever the event was that you went live for can come back to it. Like in the town I live in, we just made a big announcement about our new community tourism slogan. Well, it was at 11, people were working, but it was great because once we got home from it, we could distribute that video and forward it and push it, and it got lots of leverage, and we had over 2,000 views and all of this stuff. So that's the great thing that happens when you go live, is even after the event, you continue to get mileage, if you will, out of that post and what you did by sharing it. It also lets people who live out of town. So we recently in the South Division just opened a Hope Lodge in Jackson, Mississippi. And I don't live there, but I've fully got to experience all of the ribbon cutting and the things I had been hearing about on my call, just because that team went live. And it was just really fun to interact with them and hear just a really cool story about a relayer who happened to be staying there that week with her husband. That was unplanned. And it, for me, made so much of what we do real, because I saw a relayer who's raising money actively for her event getting to experience the Hope Lodge. So it was just very special. But their videos, the feedback is that their videos are getting muted. And so I did a little bit of research with a local radio station as well to see if they had anything different than what I had learned, and they didn't. And that is essentially Facebook sees us sharing live, and if we're playing music in the background and we're close enough where it's picking that up, Facebook is essentially at that point becomes a distributor of music, and they don't have the license like a radio station or a DJ might have to be using that music. And so they have to mute it to protect themselves. There's a couple things you can do. Immediately when that happens, there's an option for you either through the little ... or a notification that you get to appeal it. And so you can say, tell them what you're doing, and you can say, you know, the radio station is our DJ tonight, and they have the licensing for this, or DJ whoever is our providing the music for tonight, and they have whatever. But there's a Fair Use Act that schools and allows you as Relay to use that information, play that music at your event. But what happens is once you go live, or once you put that music on Facebook and they become the distributor of it, they have to just be careful and protect themselves. So obviously, if your whole video is muted, then you might just want to delete it afterwards. But if it's just part of it, you may just decide like, okay, we're just going to leave it up and people can get the majority if they can get the effect from it. Or I would definitely, if you have the coverage of a radio station is who's providing your entertainment, or a DJ, both of whom should have and could have licensing for that, to just be prepared, whether you have to use it or not. And just, you know, like for me with this guy, I just went up to him and I said, are you licensed to be able to do that? And he rattled off the 8 organizations they're licensed through. And so then I could come back to Relay, to Facebook, and say, hey, at 88, our local radio station was doing this tonight, and they have all of this licensing to be able to put this in, to be able to do the music. And they do have a pretty quick response process to those appeals. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out. We are getting lots of questions about it, and that's kind of the way around it. Another thing is maybe just move further back. I mean, obviously, if you're capturing somebody singing or something like that, it's a little bit different with a performance or a ceremony or a game. But if in general you're just trying to share a live feed of what's going on at Relay, you might just move further away from the camera, from the music. And the same thing for if you're shooting videos. One of the things we challenge folks is kind of to gather the man on the street videos while they're at Relay and while people are captured. So, you know, definitely for that, you want to move away from the sound system, because you need to hear what the person you're interviewing has to say, unless you're all official with microphones. So anyway, that's one way to get around it. I will say I use this picture. Relay for Life of Rapides Parish in Louisiana just had a really fantastic event and had a week-long, just some really great stuff. So if you're looking for somebody to go look at that's doing a great job, that too, I would challenge you. But one of the things watching this video that was live of their ambassadors for Facebook, you want to turn that camera sideways. So especially if you're shooting man on the street videos that you're going to use to distribute later, turn your phone camera sideways. You can take really great video with your phone. Just turn it sideways and tuck your elbows into your waist, and that'll help with stability, and it'll just increase the quality of your video. But if you're sharing this from multiple platforms like they were, where they wanted it in stories and they wanted it on Instagram, you just have to pay attention to kind of what you're doing with that. But the bigger thing is to capture what you can while you can. While those people are there, while the event is happening, just get it out in front of people. And oh man, they just love to interact with it. And it's just a really, really great way to make some of your social media special. So I know we've gone over past the hour, so if you guys have to jump off that are with us, I get it. We do have some things to avoid encouragement for you, so if you want to hang with us for just a little bit more, Carol's going to share that section now.
And thanks, Keisha, and I'm going to do it at the speed of sound. Actually, no, I won't. But you know what, rather than, we don't like to focus on things to avoid, but this will make your life easier. And what we don't want to see is you doing a palm plant on your face in frustration and giving up. We want you to have fun with what you do, and we want you to keep doing it. So don't overpromise. Ask your ELT what you need to do, ask for help, and don't build up too many expectations or services. Don't go rogue. Stay on brand use the appropriate brand and colors, and use the appropriate voice. And don't delegate or give out this job or this opportunity to be an online chair just to someone because they're young or they use Facebook or anybody can do this. But I will say there is nothing wrong with having someone like Carla nearby who's social savvy and willing to share tips along the way. So having a team is an awesome way to keep it on brand and not go rogue. Busy graphics and long posts can drive people crazy. People are scrolling really fast. And so what you want to put on your post visually is something that will cause them to stop. Graphics are great. Too many graphics can be as ineffective as no graphics at all. If engagement's the point, they want to be able to easily read it and digest it quickly. There are some excellent tools on Brand Toolkit. Keisha mentioned them earlier on in the program. Just feel free to download them and put them in, make them part of your message. Know who has access to posts. Like here's your admins and your editors behind the scenes. This again goes back to having a plan so that you don't post over each other. So just kind of make sure that you're feeling organized and great to share the load, but you don't want to make it confusing to the people who are reading it or trying to follow what your messages are. Don't panic. Share any kinds of changes with a calm tone. You are a media source to people. You get to set the tone. You get to communicate things that are useful to the people who are in your community, who are your audience. So just don't panic. Don't try to be too cool. And you know what? This means just be authentic. Be yourself. Be engaging. Be inspiring. Someone thought a lot of you to think that you were a good person to serve in this capacity. Just be yourself, because that means a lot. Don't or avoid not paying attention to insights and what's working. Know what's successful and keep working on that. If something doesn't work, let it go. You've learned so much from it. But if you have a successful post, what was it about it that made it successful? Did you tag the right people? Did you have a video? Did you connect with the right people? Was it a series of photos? Did people who are your users or your viewers, did they relate to the people in the photo? All those things can really impact the success of it. And then, just like Keisha was saying a few minutes ago about video is awesome, going live is awesome, but don't do it without testing. I'm working with the team right now in Dallas, and they're going to shoot Facebook Live tomorrow. And the three of us have talked about it some more, and we've practiced on our personal pages just to make sure it goes seamlessly. So everybody practices. Be one of those people.
It's true. And so many of us, well, maybe not all of you, I live in a rural town, and so who knows if the Wi-Fi or the lack of Wi-Fi is going to work. So that's always the thing that bites us at our events, and everybody's on their phone. So we wanted to give you guys a chance just here at the end. That's the content we had to offer. Any questions? I know you guys have asked some great things in the chat already. But if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself or type it in chat, and we'll just clarify real quick for the group, or add it to our content. While that's coming, I will say I've seen some more emails come through. If you want the recording, we're going to post it on Relay Connect, and we'll post it in the invitation group to this on Facebook. But I will also send an email directly to you guys that request it, with a couple handouts that we created of the content, as well as a link to the recording, so you can listen back through and have those resources with all the links and stuff in it. So are there any questions or even ideas for new topics that we need to cover? You can post those in the group as well. this is just some stuff that we have been sharing at the end of each of our trainings. But thank you guys for hanging with us tonight. If you don't already participate and you're not part of the Nationwide Online chair group and you're in that role, come join us there. There's also the ELT Facebook group, which might be how some of you guys got here tonight. Make sure that you're a part of that. But our goal is to just resource you guys with the tips and the answer to the questions that will make your role of connecting to your community easier. So thanks y'all for being here tonight. I'm not seeing anything else come through. Thanks for hanging with us. And that's all we have. I'm going to stop the recording, and but we'll hang for a second if you guys have something.